Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to BNN. So today we have a very, very wild story. I woke up this morning to a tweet that T.I. takes his teenage daughter to a gynecologist every year to get checked and make sure that her hymen is still intact. Understandably, a lot of people are offended on the internet and upset, saying this is possessive, controlling, and just plain creepy. I actually wondered, does he also do this with his teenage son? Because from the tweet, the user stated that he knows his teenage son has had sex, but he doesn't seem to have such a big problem with it. So why is it that he actually feels the need to take his daughter to a gynecologist every time during her birthday to check if she's still a virgin? If you continue reading the tweet, you can see a lot of concerns by people. People are wondering, is he actually in the same room when the doctor is doing these tests? Why does he feel the need to take his daughter and get her virginity checked? Is T.I. warping her daughter's view on sex and consent and trust, and how much to trust another man with your own body? Is what you do with your body a reflection of your parents, that they feel they need to control you in such a way? As I continued looking through the internet to find sources for this story, a lot of these articles were quoting from a podcast he did called Ladies Like Us by Nazanin Mandi, and here's the clip.
But, you know...
I heard about what girls who say they virgins have what they do. You guys have contingencies.
What's that? Like what?
There are contingencies and alternative routes.
Oh, Lord. So have you had the sex talk with your daughters?
Have I? We go.
Which, by the way, your daughters are so beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
So
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you have your hands full.
And like the
Yeah,
other one's
absolutely.
18, so she definitely knows about sex.
See,
but
this
I'm
is
just
the
saying.
thing.
It's Deyjah, right? She's 18,
Yes,
right?
Deyjah's 18, just graduated high school now, and she's attending her first year of college, figuring it out for herself. And yes, not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her hymen.
Oh,
You,
okay.
I'm done with you right now.
So, you know,
Do you
the
go
birthday
with her?
party.
She's a prisoner.
Yes, I go with her.
Somebody check on
I
Deyjah.
go with her.
She is a
And
prisoner.
so let me tell you, right? So this is one time we go. I think this might have been after her 16th birthday. And this is what we do. Like, you know, right after the birthday, we celebrate. And,
We go and
you
check
know,
her hymen after.
And then,
What the fuck?
you know, usually like the day after the party, she's enjoying her gifts. I put a sticky note on the door. Gyno. Tomorrow, 9:30.
Oh,
This is great.
And so look, right? So we'll go. You know what I mean? We'll go and we sit down. We'll sit down, and then the doctor will come and talk. And you know, the doctor's maintaining a high level of professionalism. He's like, well, you know, sir, I have to. You know, in order for me to share information, I say, Deyjah, they want you to sign this. They want you to
Sign this right now.
They want you to sign
I need to
this,
know if your hymen's still there.
so we can share information. Is there anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, ain't no problem.
You are the worst.
And so then, right? Then they come and say, okay, well, I just want you to know that there are other ways besides sex that the hymen can be broken.
Right.
Like bike riding,
Really?
athletics, horseback riding.
That's aggressive. That is aggressive
And,
writing.
you know, just other forms of athletic physical activity.
is she an athlete?
No.
There you
So I say,
You're like, sorry,
I say,
doctor,
look,
that's
I say,
not a
look, Doc.
possibility.
I say, look, Doc.
She's not.
She don't ride no horses. She don't ride no bikes. She don't play no sports, man. Just check the hymen, please, and give me back my results
Oh, dear.
expeditiously.
Expeditiously.
But I will say, as of her 18th birthday, her hymen is still in.
Deyjah, you are an angel.
You know what you're doing? You're creating men to be vultures because they're like, I'm a virgin.
That's all right. I'll
They're
tell
like,
you another story.
There's no virgins left.
I'll tell you another story.
What's a virgin?
Man, they're no fun. Who wants a virgin?
Well,
They're no fun. Who wants a virgin?
I'll
Like really?
agree with you.
Like
I'll agree.
really? Who
Like
wants
really,
like?
yes. They don't
mean,
know.
All of that work.
There's some weird people out
Yeah,
there that are
they'll
just
pay
like,
for it.
Yeah, they will.
They'll pay for
Yeah.
it.
For real.
They'll ask for a refund.
This is just creepy, honestly. After this story broke, a lot of people had opinions on it, and I was very curious as to what her daughter actually had to say about this. So if you actually check her Twitter, she did not say anything directly, but if you checked her likes, she's liked comments made by other users referencing this atrocious act as possessive, controlling, and just unfair. So I'm a little confused as to what Deyjah Harris actually think, because in March she posted to her Instagram saying that she respects the rule they have in their house of no dating boys, and that she feels boys are a waste of time, and until she can find the one that treats her just like her daddy, she's not going to waste any time. Responding to this story, a California gynecologist weighed in on the issue, saying the hymen is not a proper gauge of virginity, and she gave a very lengthy and detailed explanation through tweets, which I can read for you right now. Jennifer Gunter said, "This is horrible on so many levels. Let me educate you all about the hymen. The hymen is a leftover collection of cells that typically partially occlude the vaginal opening. Many mammals have hymen: humans, dogs, cats, camels, elephants, etc. If this were for marriages, a social construct of virginity, then other mammals would not have them as well. The hymen is more rigid at birth and provides more covering for the first 3 years to keep urine and feces out of the infant vagina, which lacks estrogen, so is very sensitive to irritants." Jennifer Gunter also posted this screenshot, a statement by the WHO organization talking about the hymen as having no scientific basis, and it typically just said virginity testing has no scientific or clinical basis. There is no examination that can prove a girl or woman has had sex, and the appearance of a girl's or woman's hymen cannot prove whether they have had sexual intercourse or are sexually active or not. She did also include a YouTube video she did talking about the hymen, and I'll include it below.
I'm Dr. Jen Gunter, and we're going to talk about the hymen. I mean, what else did you expect from me? Medically speaking, the hymen is the membranous fold that partially or wholly occludes the external orifice of the vagina. However, for most societies and religions, it is a membranous fold that determines if a girl or a woman is pure, if she is untouched, if she is worthy of marriage. Her tightness, her pain on penetration, the blood-stained sheets will be celebrated, and not just by her husband. She may heave a sigh of relief when she sees those blood-stained sheets, because women are even murdered for want of a hymen. Both ancient and modern cultures, including so-called progressive ones with evolutionary biologists, would have you believe the hymen evolved for virginity. If the first sex were bloody and painful, then resulting pregnancy would clearly be his. And it's interesting that the word hymen comes from Greek for membrane, and coincidentally or not, Hymen is also the Greek god of marriage, here I assume adorned by virgins. Except the hymen is a highly unreliable virginity indicator. Less than 1/3 of women have bleeding with first penile penetration, and even then, there's only a spot of blood, because the hymen has few blood vessels. I know, I've operated on them, and they often do not bleed, even when cut with a scalpel. In addition, 50% of teen girls who have had sex with a penis still have an intact hymen. So it makes no sense to expend a lot of evolutionary resources for an unreliable virginity indicator to prove paternity for a pregnancy that might not even happen, because the chance of getting pregnant from a single episode of sex is about 2 to 5%. Then you have to factor in infant mortality, which is at least 50% back in the day. So wedding night sex had about a 1 to 2% chance of producing an heir. Evolution does not invest in the 1 to 2% chance of survival. Another proposed theory is the hymen evolved to make first sex painful, so women would only have sex with a bonded partner. This assumes men care not for their partner's pleasure. It also ignores the fact that first sex is not painful for 2/3 of women. It is as if people who invent these theories have never actually asked any woman what happens when she has sex with a man. Also, if the evolutionary goal were to keep first sex disappointing, why have a fully functional clitoris years before the capacity to reproduce? If sex is supposed to suck, why have a clitoris at all? To get to these answers, let's look at the biology, which evolved long before marriage existed. Now, I was told not to have highly technical images, so I drew the key embryological stages myself. And so now I'm sure you'll remember them. So in red, we have primitive structure called the mesonephric ducts, and in blue, we have the urogenital sinus. And the top third of the vagina comes from the mesonephric ducts, and the bottom 2/3 comes from the blue, the urogenital sinus. And they join, and they merge, and they form a big solid tube, and then that big solid tube hollows out. And there's a few cells left at the bottom, and so you have the hollow tube of the vagina with a hymen. So it seems unlikely this complex embryology would be to suit the evolutionary pressures of needing a virgin bride. I can certainly accept that physical features attract males, but no other structure evolved for the social purpose of marriage. So if the hymen were biologically speaking, though, about marriage, I want to bring in another point. Why do cats have hymens? Why do dogs have hymens? Why do horses have hymens? Why do camels? Why do buffaloes? And why do elephants? In fact, the elephant's hymen doesn't break until its first delivery. If you wanted to prove paternity from a pregnancy from your virginal bride conceived on your wedding night, you would want an elephant's hymen. You wouldn't want a human hymen. And yes, elephants don't get married. So what we do know from science is the hymen is quite rigid at birth and provides a more robust covering of the vaginal opening, and then it starts to change. And by the age of 3, it's very less rigid, and the shape and elasticity change with age. This is because the hymen has served its purpose, protecting the infant vagina from urine and feces. Because before puberty, the vagina is very sensitive to irritants. So a mechanical barrier that's in place until continence kicks in makes sense. So you were going to see a picture of me when I was 3, because I was super cute. And then you were also going to see a picture of me when I was 20 and desperately wanted to be Pat Benatar. Also, that picture was taken the day after I had had sex for the first time. And I was going to ask you, what did I have at the age of 3 that I lost at the age of 20? My baby teeth. Get your minds out of the gutter. And that's how you should think of the hymen. Like baby teeth, it exists for a narrow developmental stage, and then once it has served its purpose, it takes on a variety of shapes and flexibility, because at that point, it's not needed. So you should think about the hymen as something covering a narrow developmental phase, and once it's taken on, once we've done with it biologically, we don't need it anymore. And in fact, the whole reason it becomes flexible and pliable is so we can have sex without pain, because if sex hurt a lot, people actually wouldn't do it. So what about those bloody sheets? This is a painting of a bedding ceremony. Could you imagine having sex with all those people watching? I can pretty much get it on any time, but that might affect me. I'm telling you, I might have a limit to the number who can watch. So, if sex is twist a nipple and stick it in, or if it's rape, then you get vulvar and vaginal lacerations. Sexual incompetence and sexual violence is what brings bloodied sheets, not a disrupted hymen. So we should no more judge a woman's virginity with her hymen than we should with her baby teeth. And I would like to remind everybody that virginity is a social construct, and please keep biology out of it.
So what do you guys think about this story? I find it very intriguing that T.I. goes to this length to make sure that her daughter actually has never had sex. And I'm sure how this would run in her mind every year, knowing that she has a checkup. And it's been speculated over and over again that T.I. cheats. So is this just the typical behavior of a cheater, afraid of getting the karma that he has put in the world? A man cheats so much that he's afraid of that happening to his own daughter. how you treat women is very, very important. So it's just T.I. very paranoid of how boys who might behave like him will treat his daughter. So what do you guys think? I'm not a parent, so I don't understand the reasoning which this man used. Let me know down in the comments. That's all from me, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.